Welcome to Flat Earth Debate, Uncut and After Show. I'm your host Nathan Oakley, and if you are new to this channel, or you've not done so already, then be sure to subscribe, hit the bell notification icon and join button if you'd like to become a Nathan Oakley 1980 channel member and keep up to date with the Flat Earth Debate. If you would like to support the channel, there is a super chat that runs alongside each of these shows while they premiere. There's also a PayPal, Patreon and crypto link in the info box below the video. Speaking of Patreon, I'm going to do a quick shout out to all of you who do support me on Patreon, so a massive shout out of thanks and appreciation to Joseph Pizarro, Samson, Maris, Hairy Blade, Mobile Max 777, Neo the One, Lost Cat FE, Rob W, Open Minded, Reese Pound, Del West Watson, Mike, Muted, Dick Earth Skeptic, Chris Hillman, NA Literalist, Maria Neelands, Unbelievable Productions, Blue Ridge Ranger, Rob H, Burn Fat Till My Stomach Is As Flat As the Earth, Nathan Thompson, The Real Gabster, Windrider, Missouri Bear, Henrik86, Liam Nedrick, Erwin Jennisons, Abraham Mohammed, Dave Rakia Gafford, Naibai, Adrian Quintana, Skeptic936, Life is Short, Fireball X, Felix Hung, TheFlatEarthChannel.com, Texas Mike, Edwin Johnson, Kirsten Smith, Alexander Main, David Wayne Johnson, and Dank. So, David Wayne Johnson, David Wayne Foster, and Dank. Massive thank you to all of you for supporting me on Patreon. Now I'll raise the mic on whoever is in the Discord live stream so you can enjoy their conversation while I set up for today's live show.
Typically for me, it starts at 9 a.m.
Good morning, Flat Site.
Hello, how's it going?
Good.
Boy, what a train wreck that show was when I was, well, my side of the show, because I was in the rent-a-car. Oh, God, I couldn't even listen. What? I should have just got kicked out.
You're not screaming at us anymore.
You can't get kicked out. You're on the panel. We have to shut the whole show down to get rid of you.
And I had to freaking apologize to Bob from Ball Busters on the chat yesterday. I got everything wrong with him.
Yeah, so but you apologized. Don't worry about it.
I did. I said I got it wrong. I did get it wrong.
We're all human. We get things wrong.
So, but he claims he never seen Anthony's egg experiment.
What?
And yeah, he said he never did, and he's not going to view anything that Sleeping Warrior has until he apologizes to telling his wife Cammy to F off. I didn't know that had happened either.
Well, wait a minute. You apologize for your misunderstanding. Now you started a whole new controversy. Oh, my God.
Well, he said that. I didn't know that went down with them, so I'm just staying out of it.
Stay out of it. I have no idea what you're talking about.
Yeah, I said I didn't know that, so fine. I just don't want to see him go out there and do something else and cause another bunch of crap. But anyway,
yeah, but
everybody's going to do what they're going to do anyway, right?
That's right. And whatever he causes, there's going to be people commenting on it. So either way, it'll be fixed.
Right.
No worries. Just stay true.
Stay true. I'm a little concerned about this election in a couple of days, though. That does worry me.
Well, what worries you about it?
Well, because say Trump wins, you're going to have a lot of riots.
Stay true.
Say Trump loses,
Stay
you're going to have socialism.
No, it won't. Then you'll have riots. It's riots either way, right?
Yeah.
Trump
Possibly.
We already have a riot.
You're
roboting.
All I can say is if you're on God, like I say, if you're on God's side, it doesn't matter what the outcome.
Yeah, that's basically what I told my wife and kids yesterday. No matter what, because we had church in the house yesterday. We listened to a midweek service from Times Square Church. We did communion and everything. And I basically, that's what I said. I said, listen, no matter what happens, our life is hid with God in Christ, and that's it. If we believe who he says he is, then he's over us like a mother hen is over her chicks. And there's nothing going to touch us. And no matter what we have to go through, he's going to take us through. If we believe that.
The guy who's trying to get in is roboting, so if you can drop off and come back, then we can hear you.
Check.
Yeah, you're still roboting.
Yeah, you got to drop and come back.
You're roboting.
All right.
Yeah.
You're roboting.
Yeah, you still.
Yeah,
Sin is a GoBot.
All of that.
Can someone help that guy?
Let me see. Let me go in the Discord.
Yeah. Did you see the Coolpix 900 this morning of the Sun? Their channel? See, everybody left.
Sorry, busy. but no, I never watched it. I still want to though.
Yeah, it's just a very short one she put out this morning, or I saw it this morning.
So, Flatside, I think if everything goes bad here, I'll come to South Africa.
It's not that great there either. He's busy painting.
Yeah, everybody's got their problems everywhere. It doesn't really matter where you go.
Hey, since we're talking about what the Lord said he made a promise, tribulations will come.
Yeah.
That is a fact.
But we will not face the great tribulation.
Nor the great white throne judgment.
That's right. Because you have crossed over from death to life. I will be at the Bema seat of Christ. There I'll receive my rewards for what I've done in the body of Christ, just so I can throw my crown back at him and say, it's all you.
Beautifully stated.
You know, so many people stumble at that question, Tunt Man, because I asked them, I said, okay, you say you're a Christian. You stand before God today, and he says, why should I let you in? What are you going to say to him? And they get it wrong every time. The first thing they say is, well, I'm not a bad person. You know, I do as good as I can, or I'm not as bad. They compare themselves to the next worst human being on earth. But you can't do that. You got to compare yourself to a holy God, and that's where we fall short. And then I try to explain to them, no, you got it wrong. The only thing I'm going to say to him is because I've trusted in what you've done for me on Calvary. There's nothing good in me.
Yeah, all your good work. Right. Yeah, all your good work is filthy rags. Exactly. It's about you having a relationship.
And what it is
a relationship. Yeah.
Yeah, it's not it's trusting in his way of salvation as opposed to going your own way. Because if you go your own way, because my Aunt Ro, my mother's sister, she's my godmother because, I was raised Catholic, and she has a hard time conceiving that the son of Sam, David Berkowitz, is going to go to heaven just because he repented and he trusted Jesus after all the damage she's done. But her, never killed anybody or did anything like that, won't, because she refuses to believe that she thinks she could get there because she didn't do as bad as him. And it's like it's pride that's going to stop people dead in their tracks.
Well, the thief on the cross, there were two of them.
Yeah.
And one is going to be in paradise and the other wasn't. And that has tripped up the Catholic members of my wife's side of the family, because I was raised Catholic too. And they said, well, no, that's not right. That guy on the cross, he didn't do. And I said, wait a minute, you're going to works. You're going to a religion now, Catholicism, where it demands works for salvation. That's not demanded by God. God doesn't demand works, not from you, because Christ did the work for us.
Yeah.
That's the propitiation for our sins, the sacrifice. So if someone's going to read the Bible, they're going to walk away with the Christian message being that you're saved by grace through faith, not of works, lest anybody boast.
Correct.
That's the Christian message. Now, if someone wants to go and alter it and change it and create a cult like the Mormons where they bring works and Jehovah's Witnesses and deny an actual hell, that's their business, and they'll stand the judgment for that. But if you're going to read the Bible, then take it for what it says. You're saved by faith through grace, not of works, lest anyone boast. And Christ is the Redeemer, not me and my works. I can't redeem myself.
Yeah, we only do works because we are saved.
Yeah, that's pretty obvious, because you get a new heart.
You try, you get a different heart, you get a different mind. You get the mind of Christ, and you see a need, and you act on it. Because I was telling my children, there was in one of the Gospels, I forgot what the address is, when the press was so hard to get to Jesus that nobody could get in. But they had a friend who was crippled, and what they did was they climbed on the roof, ripped open the roof, and lowered him down. That was a tremendous act. I said, and we basically could do the same thing through prayer. You know, you see an unsaved loved one, you could rip the heavens through prayer.
But remember that
right at his feet.
Remember that story that had a double meaning. He said to that person in the room, once he got lowered down through the roof, your sins are forgiven you.
Yep.
And then the people were saying, how can you say that? Only God can forgive sins. And Jesus said, is it easier to say your sins are forgiven you, or pick up that bed and walk?
Yep.
And what did he do? He violated natural law and healed the guy.
Yep.
Validating that he is God in human form and he can forgive sins.
Yeah, it was crazy. Huh?
It was a beautiful story.
Oh my God, I'm watching this Philadelphia stuff. They're just walking out of stores with stuff and nobody's stopping them.
Well, you hear what the mayor said?
Stuff on their cars and driving away.
I think it was the mayor or governor that said that it was a peaceful protest.
Yeah. Now, I do have an issue. I mean, come on. But I was trying to, I don't know how I feel about that. Because my wife said they have to shoot him 7 times. I'm like, listen, if I'm a cop and somebody's coming at me, the guy with the knife in Philly, you hear about that?
Yeah. I mean, let's put that guy in the position when someone's attacking.
That's what I'm saying. I said, Sarita, if I'm a cop, all I'm thinking about is getting home to my family. If a maniac is coming at me with a knife, you know.
You know how many stories I've heard from actual policemen of how they've put bullets into people and they still charge them because they're high on drugs and everything?
Yeah, that's what I told my wife. I said, look, even go back to L.A., those L.A. things. They didn't use their guns. They tried to contain a man, that Rodney King, that was so high on angel dust, and they couldn't. And what happened? They wound up, a whole big disaster happened in L.A. Yeah, he got rewarded all of that money, but you know what? He died a drug addict.
Yep.
Okay. So, you can't, I don't know. I don't know what the answer is.
Yeah, the answer is simple. God came to save mankind. Turn to God and get your life fixed.
Yeah. Basically. But they're talking about maybe they should shoot him in the leg. You got arteries in your leg too, You could shoot somebody in the leg and they could bleed to death.
You don't shoot anyone in the leg. You shoot them in the biggest area of their body to stop them.
Damn straight. If they come at me with a knife, I'm shooting them dead in the chest. I might even go for a headshot.
Nonsense. I got sheriffs and policemen here training on the property at times, and they say the same thing. No, you go for a big mass area. And they unload. They have to unload.
Now I heard something they're talking about netting. If the cops have some sort of net. I said, what are we, Spider-Man here? We're going to shoot webs at them now?
Just don't commit a crime. Just don't commit a crime.
Exactly.
Don't have a knife. Don't have a gun, and the cops won't shoot you.
Well, that's basically it. Well, you know what my answer to this whole racial thing is, right? You may say,
no, but I'm sure I'm going to hear it.
Okay, you want to hear it?
Of course.
You put black cops in black neighborhoods, Hispanic in Hispanic, white in white, Jew in Jew, and you're not going to have a problem then. They can't say it's racial then.
No, nothing will change. They'll call them Uncle Toms. They'll do something else, but still you'll have the same thing. Anywho, let's talk
about flat Earth, right?
Well, let's talk about things that are, how could I put it, that we recently covered on flat Earth. So what was the last one?
Well, re-listening to Akuma Virus, that was kind of funny yesterday.
That was the day before yesterday, right?
Yeah, well, I seen the Uncut and After show yesterday.
Oh, yeah.
But that was, he's just dishonest. I'm sorry.
Or I think he's got a block. He's self deceived. He's got a block because he interprets Coriolis differently. He doesn't interpret. It's very simple. Just like false religions interpret salvation differently, he's interpreting Coriolis differently. So he's stuck there, and everyone's wrong except him. And so when Nathan explains what actual Coriolis is, even using the ballers who say you and your reference frames are ruined to actually validate that you got to have two reference frames to even have Coriolis, he still doesn't get it because he's stuck in this religion of his, like a cult. And hey, I've led many people out of cults by just showing them what the Bible says and what their organization claims what the Bible says. And we put them next to each other and say, this is what the Bible says. Right. This is what your organization claims the Bible says. Now, are they exact match or is someone lying to you? And the ones, and I've let a few out, but most of them don't come out because they fight for the organization. You see, they're in a cult. And this is where Akuma Virus is. He fights for the organization.
Yeah.
The pseudoscience organization in this case.
You know what other argument is coming back, believe it or not? With Coriolis? The way water goes down the drain.
Yeah.
That's what they're saying Coriolis is.
Two spots in the river that has two different spirals going the opposite ways.
That's not even Coriolis, though. That's what I thought Coriolis was years ago.
No, I know it's not.
The vortex goes to the location where the vector is pointed. It's easy.
Yeah, exactly. I'm just saying that you can use the same water example to disprove their water example. It's not Coriolis, but it's just the way the water is going initially that causes.
They're just saying that something. They're just saying that something is spinning. The space over the Earth can be spinning while the Earth is at rest, though. That's why I get so gung-ho about the ether as a possible explanation. Spinning over the Earth.
Don't start with that ether. It can't be proven.
Well, just let him finish what he's trying to say. Go on.
Directly. It could be an experimental framework to explain some observations, namely the gyro drift and the interferometer experiments.
All of those things are great, but if it drifts in those things, it's got to drift under a drone, a helicopter, and an airplane as well. Correct?
Correct.
Okay. Well,
unless
I'm
the
open
ether
to all
passes
these
through
things.
the objects. Unless it passes over and through the objects. Like Tesla thought with the gaseous ether.
No, let's not worry about ether or gas. I'm saying Coriolis as do the Earth is turning. If the Earth is turning, the Earth is turning. There's no stopping it, or everyone's going to hit the dashboard pretty hard.
I agree. I don't think it's Coriolis from the Earth.
Right. So if the like this morning, Sandra, I think is her name on Coolpix 900, had the short video on the sun and the sunspots, and you can see it's moving, but her camera is on the tripods on a very stationary position, and she's proving 15 degree drift per hour because the sun is moving. Because it's in the initial reference frame.
And what does she say? The Earth is moving?
No.
She's not. A flat earther.
Absolutely. No, the whole point is when you put your P900 or any camera and you have it on a tripod stationary on the earth, so it's not jiggling or moving, and you get it on the sun or anything and it's moving, something's moving. Now, it's either the earth is moving or the luminaries in the sky are moving and the earth is not moving. Or a third possibility, both are moving. Well, it's a very simple way to figure that out. Go put a drone up, have it hover, and see if the earth moves under it. Well, if it doesn't do it, then that means the earth is not moving. It's over. It's right there.
Pretty simple. Plus, with Aries failure, we already, saw an experiment that implied that the Earth was motionless and at rest, with everything else moving over the emotionless Earth.
Yeah, exactly. It's very simple. Let them state whatever they want, and then just say, let's lift the drone and see if that tree that's 20 feet away will come west to east.
Yeah, that's why my balloon pointing at the sun, showing the sun moving and not the balloon, just demolishes the argument.
Exactly. Your balloon was perfect. And your balloon had strings attached to prove it.
I think the arguments are irrefutable.
They are until you meet a member of a cult that got to defend their organization instead of look at the facts.
But even though they're still irrefutable, they can argue for the cult all they want.
No, I know. We're both saying the same thing. They're looking at evidence. They're denying the evidence because they want to defend the organization and the belief system more than they are interested in the truth.
I mean, just look at water itself. I mean, it's flat everywhere. And if we're supposedly over 70% water, I mean,
why do you think
turning anywhere?
Why do you think kids get it immediately? The kids get it immediately because they know these things before they're indoctrinated in school and college.
It's like Santa Claus. When you go to put a kid on Santa Claus' lap for the first time, they scream and cry. They don't want to go on that big red guy's lap. You put me on a stranger's lap for?
Well, I think the kids have the presence of mind to know that.
They just come, right, Tent Man? They just come to you.
It's just there, man. It's just there. It's just
the gift of the pun.
Become pun-stoppable. That's what I am.
It's not the gift of the magi. It's the gift of the pun.
Yeah, it's just, I see in pictures, man. I don't know what it is. It's like parallel, right, to everything. I got puns going parallel to every word. How's that?
Very good. Which, by the way, that hawk that you sent the pictures of, how close do you get to him or her?
The closest that hawk came to me one day, I would say was maybe 10, 11 feet. And I had the hose on the spray mode, and it was over 100 degrees. And he was allowing me to cool him down. He was flapping his wings and sticking his beak under it, picking something out. And he was just wetting himself so he can cool down. It was one of the most amazing things. And he did it to me like 3 times.
But you missed the point. You missed the point. The shadow was straight.
That's right. The shadow was straight.
Are you a bird watcher? Because that's very interesting, actually.
Actually,
we have.
Yeah, I live on property, so I see a lot of birds, and I watch them a lot. I'm not into bird watching like the people who are in those organizations, but I have 6 pine trees at the front of the property with a nest. It's a huge nest, and when the tree trimmers came, I said, "Hey, don't trim that one there because there's a hawk's nest." And every year they go in there and have their baby hawk. And so each year I see.
I only asked that. Yeah.
Go on.
Well, I was only asking because if you have hawks, here in Tennessee we have eagles, and eagles, they're kind of similar to hawks in a lot of ways, but they're very empowering. Like they tower usually over a territory, and we live close to a couple of different eagles. But it's curious, if you watch them enough, they're wild. They're wild as it gets.
What kind of eagles?
They're bald eagles, like the American,
bald eagle?
traditional American bald eagle. Yeah, they're badass. Actually, they dominate. Most people don't really know how dominating their breed is, but they have a whole territory they watch over. And any other bird, they'll cancel out if it's a threat to what they want. They're very dominating.
Yeah,
but I've never seen them engage with hawks. That was why I was curious.
Yeah, well, they're bigger than the hawks. They're by me too. There's a breeding spot for them upstate New York. I was blown away the first time I seen one. Without seeing it on TV, just seeing it with my eyes, I was blown away.
Tennessee protects Tennessee. That's our bird of the state, I think, and we actually go out of our way to protect that. We go out of our way to actually protect eagles, and kind of have the foresters scout where the eagles are, and then we kind of section off the perimeter so that they are allowed to dominate. It's really cool though, but if you get to watch them, they're predators.
Everyone's talking over everybody.
Sorry about that. Sorry.
Yeah, I'll tell you a story. I've seen on 3 occasions on my property the hawks, when they train their baby bird, they take a route over the property to show them how to fly and dive. It's just amazing to watch. And then 3 separate occasions while they were still small, the mama or the papa, who knows, flying over my head with a 3-foot snake or 4-foot snake, depending on which one of the occasions, just dangling from its talons. That's how beautiful. I'm saying, look at that. He's got a snake in his hand, his talons.
Wow.
And of course, you took it to the nest. And then I walk under the tree where the nest is, and I see all the bones of all the kills that hawk made, whether it was a squirrel or any kind of animal. All the bones are on the ground, right underneath the nest.
You know what's cool though? Also in the city, they have the New York City Hawks. They're on the high buildings.
Is that a baseball team?
Yeah, and they hunt the rats. They hunt the rats and little vermin. Yeah. New York City Hawks.
Sounds like a baseball team.
Yeah.
No,
City
birds are
Hawks.
beautiful. City Hawks.
So, what are we going to talk about today? Who's going to come on today and make a fool of themselves?
Hopefully
nobody.
Hold on.
Hopefully before the actual. Real quick, just in the Discord chat. I don't know how often you guys ever look into the Discord chat for this show, but Simon Dan showed up, and him and I had a little back and forth, and it's actually incredible to realize how he's not somebody who engages a lot with flat Earth. Like all you'd have to do is talk with him like 15 minutes. But I was impressed by how little he knew about like Newtonian physics and all this other stuff. It was pretty wild, actually. But yeah.
Well, people don't have to defend it per se. People can just have faith in it and have faith that it delivers. If you're talking about, the heliocentric system with Newtonian, mechanics or whatever.
Who would say?
Yeah. Well, I gotta.
So let me say this.
Sorry, I was just wanting to shout.
Okay, go on.
Simon Dan was he was in the Discord chat, and he shows up every now and then. I don't know why he never joins Discord, but for some reason he likes to participate in the text chat here. And I got to talking to him, and I got to do a shout outs to QE because QE literally copies and pastes the exact quote from Newton's Principia or whatever, where he says about gravity that he has no hypothesis, no scientific. And a lot of people that talk about Newtonian physics don't even realize how much Newton didn't even want to be associated with gravity. And most, Simon Dan, for instance, the chat didn't even fucking have a clue. It was unique. Very interesting.
Let me tell you how he doesn't have a clue. It's very recent. You and your reference frames are ruined.
Thank you, Simon Dan.
Do you realize when he said those words that he's basically destroying his heliocentric model?
Absolutely, Crush. No more argument.
I mean, he killed his own argument right there.
Yeah,
it's over. It's like Neil and I and Flatzoid started the show talking about what the Bible says and the words of Christ. If I was to make the same mistake, I would say, Neil, you and your Bible and your Jesus are false. That's how big of a mistake this is. So if I'm claiming to be a Christian, why would I ever say that? I wouldn't. He's claiming to be heliocentric. He could never; those words could never come out of his mouth. But they did.
Right.
Because he doesn't understand his own point of view, or he doesn't understand anything. He's just parodying.
He's actually just a flat earther. He just has to keep his ego. Because remember, he's got a lot of subs, making money out of it.
But he doesn't really engage. He talks to a camera for like 5 minutes. He cuts it, and then he does all these like retakes, and then he puts together some sort of 20-minute video of probably multiple different cut shots of him talking to a camera. But he actually doesn't ever engage with the flat earthers. And when I saw him in the Discord chat on this server, it was hilarious because it just shows you how unfamiliar they are and how not up to date they are with where flat Earth is, like where we're at in October 2020. Like they just are not familiar with where we're at now.
Remember, Nathan says that
multiple things.
Remember, Nathan says that we know their arguments better than they do.
Yeah, they don't update themselves. I don't think because they don't engage, and that's just laziness. Because you would be surprised how every day we kind of find new ways of destroying what they thought they believed, and I don't think they really catch on.
Good morning, Paul.
Good morning, all.
Hey, Paul. Well, Neil deGrasse Tyson comes out. Neil deGrasse Tyson came out and said that the Coriolis effect was observed with a football field goal. And he'd be correct if it was true. But the rest of them push. Yeah, it would be correct if it was true, because that would be the ball is in the inertial reference frame and the Earth turned underneath. That's exactly what it is. But since that never happens, the ballers all turned on him. So Simon Dan says, you and your reference frames are ruined, destroying his own heliocentric model, destroying the correct view of what should happen if it was true. Neil deGrasse Tyson with the football. He's in a world of a mess right now.
Right, and I've been listening the past couple of days, and I know there's a lot of flat earthers and people that are globers that watch the show that are tired of the Coriolis debate. But what I've discovered, and even talking with Zanuck kind of in the after show or whatever, because when we say, okay, if you can calculate Coriolis, how do you account for star rotation? How do you calculate the Coriolis effect on the star rotation? And they legitimately have told me, and I have the screenshots to prove it, that they say the stars don't move. And that's incredible because I've never heard that before in my entire life.
But that's Coriolis.
Well, that's not true.
Hold on. That's their claim.
That is their claim. It's legit.
Yeah, that's their claim. You move underneath. That's Coriolis deflection. The reason they appear to move is because your claim to turn underneath the stars. So the stars relatively in this scenario, can you pop yourself on mute, Tent, are stationary. And you're turning underneath to give you Coriolis deflection at 15 degrees an hour.
Exactly. Well, that's why you have to ask them, how did you calculate the Coriolis effect in the star rotation? Because they always like to talk about star rotation, but when you ask them to calculate with all their math how it correlates to the Coriolis, they don't have any answer. Even Zanuck said a couple of days ago, I even talked to him, he said that the stars do not rotate. And it was incredible. I was impressed that he even said it.
But that's correct from their rhetoric.
That's their claim.
That's their claim. That we turn, and let's just get this straight. Right, both sides don't appreciate what Coriolis is. I'm not saying you don't. The claim is we turn underneath to cause apparent deflection. Well, what does that mean? It means that they're not actually moving, ergo, in their rhetoric, the stars are stationary, and you're turning underneath them. That's what causes them to appear to move when they're actually, according to them on the globe side, stationary. Likewise, drone hovers relatively stationary whilst hovering. and you're supposed to turn underneath it. Same exact thing. Now, that doesn't happen. It should.
Well, they always say the atmosphere rotates too, right?
Well, then Neil deGrasse Tyson... No. Coriolis is something leaving a turning reference frame. So as soon as they say, well, they turn together, so no drift then. No, don't get into arguing with them about their begging the question fallacy about Earth and atmosphere travelling together and trying to unpick their nonsense, because it ends up in a position where you seem to an onlooker like you're actually arguing that Earth should turn underneath. No.
No. It's more fun. Because I'm asking them to calculate the Coriolis effect of the star rotation. They don't even know how to go about answering that, because if it's down to mathematical formulas, they should be able to calculate it there in the spot. They don't know how to calculate Coriolis, the apparent deflection, with star rotation. They don't even know how
I get it. No, it's not that they can't calculate it. It's that they don't realise that that's Coriolis claim. Same with the sun. They just don't know what is actually claimed to be Coriolis deflection or what Coriolis deflection is. The people like Zanuck who do know where and when to double speak the subject. Yes, we're turning under the stars. No, we're not turning under a drone. So 15 degrees an hour deflection in the stars, no 15 degrees an hour in a drone. Neil deGrasse Tyson says 15 degrees an hour deflection in a football. So you can't have it both ways, is the bottom line. Either we're on a non-inertial spinning reference frame, and therefore we experience Coriolis, or we're not. Can't have it both ways.
Well, that's my new favorite point, is that if they want to really lean on Coriolis and the apparent deflection of things, they're going to have to appeal to the apparent deflection of a whole other lot of things, like the star rotation, the sun moving across at 15. They have to answer for the calculations of Coriolis, and I don't think they know even how to begin to do that. That's why I love this argument so much, is why I brought it up, I guess.
Well, they don't even do that with the sun. And so they're probably, implying that light is fast enough to overcome any of those spinning quote unquote effects.
You don't even talk about that.
You're talking about the Coriolis deflection of the stars, and in their system, the sun is a star. If they were going to account for that, they'd start with the closest star, the sun. They don't even do that, though.
Zanuck says that stars do not move. They literally said, he said that stars do not move. And I said, that's
relative
incredible.
to the rotation we see. Yes, that's correct. I keep saying it. He's correct in their rhetoric. Relative to your observation of them turning, according to them, they're not actually turning. You're turning underneath to make them appear to turn. That means relatively stationary. That's just their rhetoric. You're saying it like it's amazeballs. Wow, they say they're stationary. No, that's just their rhetoric.
Because it just complicates things. If they really want to lean into that, it just complicates them for their own... They're worse off for having that argument. That's what I'm saying. Because they're going to have to re-explain a whole bunch of other things that I know the heliocentric model does not have answers for. And that's why I like the debate.
They treat it like a separate reference frame where it's moving so fast, the spinning Earth has hardly any effect on it. That they're in separate frames, and it's only the same frame if, the spin of the Earth affects the observation or some crap.
If each star had their own sort of reference frame relative to the Earth has its own relative inertial reference frame, then every time we look into the stars and see the east or east to west rotation, then we're only going to see one direction, but they all should be moving in multiple directions. It's just nonsense that we see them simultaneously all move correlated to each other in one direction.
The reference frame stuff is crap, because ultimately we'd be in the same frame anyway. Even if the Earth was spinning in the frame of space, it's still spinning in space, the frame of space anyway. That frame would still be in the...
No, in their rhetoric, you're attached to it.
So this reference frame stuff is just nonsense.
No, it's not. It's just an effect you can observe with a roundabout. It's not nonsense. It's a real effect. Coriolis is real. It's just not observed on a turning Earth, making Earth a non-inertial, because you're attached to it, spinning with it, reference frame. So non-inertial. You just got it the wrong way around. Earth becomes non-inertial because the effect is observed as you turn underneath. So you're seeing something appear to do something because you're moving, not it. But you're moving with the reference frame. That makes it non-inertial.
You're talking about an object above a sort of merry-go-round. We're talking about the stars. All the stars move in a simultaneous, unique they're correlated in their rotation. They all move together the same way, regardless of Earth's rotation. So the fact that they're all moving the same direction debunks the idea that a relative reference frame exists, at least in their model.
I get it. I know what you're saying. It doesn't seem to correlate with the way they assert that we're spinning in reference to them being
We should have different zodiacs every day.
Yes, I understand what you're saying. However, you can choose to argue about that aspect of it all day, or just pummel the assertion that we're a non-inertial spinning reference frame turning underneath stuff at 15 degrees an hour, which is their actual claim that they try and steer clear of. I'd rather just pummel the fact that, we're not turning underneath anything. And as soon as you point out that we're not turning underneath anything, they'll tell you, well, we wouldn't expect to see any drift. So, okay, so we don't have drift then. Their claim is we do have 15 degrees an hour drift. As soon as they reach the point that they say, well, we wouldn't expect to see it because, you just have to point out that regardless of their explanation, so we don't see drift then.
Yeah, I think when you get into the stars, it gets a little convoluted. Just stick to it like that and you just crush them right away.
Not really. Well, just say it's not complicated at all. In their model, it's simple. They move because we turn underneath. It's just that simple for them. Now, if we're turning underneath stuff at 15 degrees an hour, including the stars, then we're turning underneath aeroplanes shortening flight times. Same as Neil deGrasse Tyson's example with the ball. It leaves us turning Earth. It curves through the goalpost because the goalpost turned underneath. From your perspective, attached to a non-inertial claim to be spinning Earth, it seems to curve from your vantage point. That's because you're turning underneath it and it's not attached. The football. Well, football, drone, doesn't matter. They're all claimed to be subject to Coriolis deflection. 15 degrees an hour, turn of the Earth underneath. It is just that simple. Welcome to Flat Earth Debate Live. I'm your host, Nathan Oakley, and if you are new to this channel, or you've not done so already, then be sure to subscribe, hit the bell notification icon and join button to keep up to date with the Flat Earth Debate. If you would like to support the channel, there is a super chat that runs alongside each of these shows while they are live. There's also a PayPal, Patreon and crypto link in the info box below the video. Most importantly, if you'd like to join the discussion, simply mute the page you are currently watching, then click the link in the info box below this video to join the panel and express your views on the nature of Earth. If you do join, please don't swear. If you do, you'll be ejected, and if you are, please don't try to rejoin the stream using sock accounts. You'll be warmly welcomed back on the next stream. Please also share the show on social media. Sharing the show obviously increases the live audience, but this in turn increases the chances of a more diverse panel, so please share the show on Facebook and Twitter. One last time, if you're new to the channel or you've not done so already, then be sure to subscribe, hit the bell notification icon and join button to keep up to date with the Flat Earth Debate. Now, we are joined by 10th Man, Neil, Paul Hall, Flatzoid, Arwin, and a whole bunch of people in Discord. Welcome, one and all.
Hello, hello, hello.
Greetings, everyone.
Hello. Salutations.
Shalom. Any evidence of a physical geometric sphere edge horizon formerly known as Earth curvature?
Not from the best kebab store in my town.
No.
Any evidence of axial rotation of the Earth-based variety?
None of the Earth-based variety.
No, because balloons stay still.
Earth doesn't move.
Lots of mumblings about reference frames, I hear.
Reference frames, reference frames, reference frames.
Any evidence of a self-perpetuating molten iron core at the centre of a presupposed spherical Earth?
As someone says, only in pictures.
Not found.
Has anyone gone past 12Ks?
No, no one's dug past 12k. They got the predictions wrong with their P waves and S waves on the way down as they dug that far.
Anybody hear about Mr. Sensible having seen the curve through his balloon experiment?
Yeah, we covered it yesterday, actually. Yeah. Physical reified geometric sphere edge horizon based on an R value that we cannot see, cannot calculate, is only in existence in the geometric maths. That sphere edge horizon he thinks he can see at altitude. That one. No, the horizon's not a sphere edge.
Right. Well, that was what I was saying to somebody in my chat today too. So I forgot that we actually reviewed that yesterday.
He thinks barrel distortion is curved. That's the problem.
They think the horizon's the edge for a boat to go over. They think the horizon's the edge of a sphere. A physical, geometric location to block things. With non-physicality, they tell us can't be seen, can't be measured. So, no, we've debunked it with the Black Swan. Mr. Sensible should be well aware of that, given his rather memorable quote. At best, you would have debunked the radius. Yeah, that's about the geometric sphere edge horizon, you moron. Go on, Owen.
No, I just said classic.
Yeah, they have selective amnesia when their arguments fall to pieces and a new one comes along as asserted by mainstream. They go, oh, look, mainstream says they see the sphere edge, horizon, geometric. So here it is. Forgetting that at best we've debunked the radius based on its lack of ability to measure it at the horizon because it's non-physical. Clown shows. Hello? Any scientific evidence of gravity?
Except for that sign on your screen right there. No.
What's gravity again?
Falls down, but
it's a movie.
The center of gravity when stuff's attracted to.
Which gravity?
It's dead.
Nowadays we have all sorts of different types.
Downity. That's the only one I see. Just stuff going down.
Down, not under pressure.
What's going down?
Like an apple.
I've got an apple.
That are medium dependent.
Hold on. I've got an apple right in front of me. It's not going down. What's going on?
What are you at? Underwater or in the air?
In the air when you drop it.
I've got to pick it up.
In the
Hold on.
Underwater.
Sin, hold on 1 second. Sorry, when I drop it, so I've got to pick it up first. Well, there's the explanation for why it's dropping.
Right.
Hydrostatic.
Right. I guess it's why stuff doesn't hover or whatever, or stay suspended.
The attachment to relative density is hydrostatics. It's going to find its equilibrium based on the matter and the mass that it, whatever it's made of.
Why does pressure float? That's basically what gravity asks.
Like hold on, just 1 second.
Hydrostatics?
Yeah, hold on. No, hydrostatic. What do you think that word means?
Volumetric pressure.
No, that's a completely different word. Hydrostatic.
Yeah.
What do you think that means?
The fluid of the air that it's measured.
Oh, so air's a fluid, is it?
It's measured in the air.
It's a fluid, is it?
Well, what is the air?
It's a gas.
Right? Yeah. It's a mixture of, it's actually a mixture of gases that we've measured certain things at. But if you drop that same thing underwater, it's going to have gravity's going to be debunked in that because it's medium dependent. It's volumetric pressure based on the medium that it's in.
Can I ask the question?
What?
Hold on, Erwin.
Why would it not be?
You drop something without a container?
Sin, please don't have verbal diarrhea. You've made your statements. God. Go ahead, Paul.
Oh, sorry.
Can you have water? Hold on, Sin. Can you have water pressure without a container?
Absolutely not. You have to have a container to have any sort of matter, I'd imagine.
So just about every form of gas or liquid has to have some form of container to have pressure, correct?
The Earth is absolutely a perfect container for everything. All of that, absolutely.
So how is the water and gas contained in the Earth system?
The Earth is a container?
It's based on hydrostatics. The Earth is the container because you have pressure based on the surface of the Earth, and the surface of the Earth has a much more dense if you want to talk about mass, it's a much more dense amount of mass than the air or the gas above it. So you have the pressure on the Earth.
One at a time, Arwin.
Well, hold on.
I think we already know this.
No, hydro means water.
Right.
Well,
the
not
air.
air.
In this example, like, okay, what I'm saying is that if the air is a volume of gas, things are going to fall or drop or go down at a different accelerated rate than they will if they are in a different medium such as water. Drop something in air, it's going to have a different speed or velocity of air than acceleration than it will if it's underwater.
So what?
So it's medium dependent. It's based on volumetric pressure, which is absolutely relative to
displacement friction. That's all. That happens to relative density too, you know.
I've just explained that it's correlated. Volumetric pressure means it's medium dependent. So whatever the density of the item that you're measuring, based on its mass, is going to be dependent on the volume or the medium that it's in.
Yeah, fine. The only issue I had was the word hydrostatic being used.
Well, hydrostatic is just used in an example of talking about the air.
No, it's not. Please, I'm just going to get really annoyed with you if you don't listen to me. I'm going to say it a third and final time. Hydro. What does hydro mean?
Hydro means a contained liquid.
Right. What does static? Okay, thank you.
Fluid.
Thank you. Thank you.
Including water, the air.
Thank you. What does static mean?
Some sort of equilibrium.
Not moving.
Static means not moving. Is water? Let's just, for the love of God, Sin, please. It's the third attempt of saying this to you. Are you just going to reassert it a fourth time? Because if so, I'm going to get really annoyed. Hydro, that would be liquid. Static, not moving. Does that in any way describe air? No, it does not.
Well, I mean, it depends on how you measure it. Air at sea level is measured at 14.7 psi, and that is that's a measurement that we can do. But when you go higher up, you're just finding a gradient, and that gradient is medium dependent based on the gas of the medium that we measure things falling.
Well, you've said that 4 times, and each and every time you've been agreed with. And I said, no issues.
I don't think we're having arguments here.
We are, because I say, no, the only issue I've got, you completely ignore me or mutter through me, is the word hydrostatic. 3 times I explained it to you, and then you're like, no, that's fine. Completely ignoring me pointing out, breaking down the word. You're still yet to acknowledge it. You've moved on to a point we've both agreed on. I just need you to concede, not a good word to describe air, which is not static or fluid-like.
I absolutely see your point. You're trying to say, I understand what you're saying. You're saying that air isn't necessarily just one state of matter or the other. It's actually a combination of water and air. So it is, it's a fluid. You could best describe it as a fluid.
No.
That's not what he said.
My God, I'm going to get really pissed off with you.
Holy shit.
I'm going to get annoyed if you don't just acknowledge what I actually say to you. I
thought we agreed.
Is it static?
It is hydrostatic because it's based on an equilibrium.
So I'm going to kick you out, Sin, because you're going to piss me off. This is the 4th time. No, it's not static. Air's not static. So, no, this word is not correct. You're still yet to acknowledge it. 4th time, you're now going to say, no, hydrostatic's fine. It's a good word. Even though on 4 separate occasions, like now with you muttering through me, if I get the fuck out, why are you raising my blood pressure? Just piss off. If you can't accept after 4 separate occasions of me telling you that air isn't static, and you're still going to assert that, no, it's a perfectly acceptable word to use, then you're an intolerable prick. Just get out. No, it's not static. How many bloody times? 4 is too many in the middle of housekeeping. Just accept that your nonsense is nonsense or I'll kick you out. 4 times is too many. No, air is not static. Okay? God, how many times?
Okay, have you ever seen Trillion Optics?
Again?
It's in the
have
chat.
You ever witnessed Trillion Optics?
You can pour the air like it's a fluid.
Is it hydrostatic? Hydrostatic? No.
It is.
That's the only word I covered.
Stops moving around.
Let's spend 10 minutes describing fluid. No. Hydrostatic? No, it isn't. 4 times. Too much. Why are we now moving on to whether or not it's fluid? Arbitrary descriptions. That's all these are. Arbitrary.
Well, let me say something, Nathan. Even to get gas to act like a fluid, it has to be contained and under pressure.
Yes, that's where they get hydrostatic from. Forcing all the gas particles really close together. That's how they get to that description. It's just an inaccurate description of our air. But obviously 5 times explaining that's just going to be too much for some people.
Well, that's why another reason I bring up like water pressure, because if you start getting into a fluid, to even have water pressure, that water has to be contained. Because if you put it in a vacuum, you will not have water pressure. It'll disappear. It'll evaporate.
Well, hydrostatic pressure is described here when I Google it to be basically the gradient workings of water when it has settled, because it's very specific. Water at rest, liquid at rest.
Oh, settled. That would make sense with that word static.
Exactly.
Arwen, is gas ever static?
No.
Oh, there we go.
Well, and also, if you put a vacuum chamber above water that's even static, what will happen to water?
It would all dissipate. It would immediately vaporize and then dissipate.
It's a study of statics versus dynamics. Dynamics is stuff that's changing, stuff that's in flow, stuff that's in flux. Statics is stuff that tends not to change, tends to be stable, settled, unmoving, like static electricity. There doesn't appear to be flowing electricity until zap, you touch something. And it's like there was this static, unmoving electrical charge that was just, hovering around. And then all of a sudden, zap, when you touch like a doorknob or something. Static.
Indeed. Used often because it's describing, the lack of change? What do another word for that be? Oh, entropy! So, what a useful tool to describe when something's not changing, not subject to an entropy increase. That's useful when the world is violating that natural law. Could do with being static, really, the air. So it'd be useful to describe it as such with this hydrostatic description. Yeah, I'm not going to
It also describes
Go on, sorry.
A liquid that's contained, not going anywhere.
Indeed. That's fluid. Paul's point, precisely. Let's move on. Any single viable hypothesis from any of the fields of astronomy, cosmology, or astrophysics?
No, impossible from those fields.
Would you expect that from someone who thinks your cousins are rocks?
Well, it's not impossible, but since they're latching onto a very specific storytelling tradition attached to their disciplines, they don't really have that much incentive to do it.
Well, they can't even do it, Arwen, because it's questions scientific evidence, and to have a scientific evidence, you have to manipulate the independent variable.
Well, they might figure out how to do that at some point.
Okay, at some point. So you're here on Earth, and you want to know what the so-called rings of Saturn are. Are you going to be able to manipulate those rings?
Well, maybe. At some point, it's a visual phenomenon, so maybe at some point people will figure out how to alter that visual phenomena here on Earth. Who knows, man?
Can you get your hands on it? Can you move it? Can you stop it? Can you touch it?
He doesn't have to get his hands on the thing. He just has to be able to observe. Arwen's spot on, right? They've got plenty of phenomena. Now, how they choose to vary and manipulate that which they assume causes the effect we're observing, in this case you're talking about rings on a light in a sky. Well, they might assume that they can affect it with something, let's just postulate something magnetic, just for the sake of argument. Well, they can formulate a hypothesis with that, can't they? If whatever magnetic thing they vary, then the effect of rings around Saturn, that's, with a null, if I vary the magnetism, no rings on Saturn, right? They can formulate that. It wouldn't be viable. The null wouldn't work. Please. The null wouldn't work. But nevertheless, they can attempt to formulate a hypothesis. What Arwen's saying is, they can definitely predict this. That's what a hypothesis is. That's what we're asking for.
Okay. I was well ahead of the so-called hypothesis and predictions. I'm at the independent variable where you have to go touch it, move it. So go ahead, predict all you want with the magnet. Now go through a second law a thermodynamics violation and go manipulate those rings. Let me see you do it.
No. Stop.
Hold on.
Right, hold on.
You don't have to touch it.
Hold
you
on,
only
Owen,
have
hold
to be
on.
able to sense it and affect it.
Just stop a second. Don't go into the paradigm that far. We don't need to for this question to be answered by them in the fields that we've labelled as pseudoscience. Right? They've got plenty of phenomena. You don't have to make the assumption, even though they may do that in their invalid hypothesis they present, if they were to do so. Right? Yeah, second law of thermodynamics, sky vacuum, claimed to be light that's actually gas, not expanding. Yeah, I get what you're saying, 10th. However, doesn't change that they're observing phenomena. So
I'm not arguing that.
Yeah, but I'm just saying that when Arwin says, well, you could figure out the cause of that, just because in their world you're never going to cause the rings of Saturn to be varied by changing something. Because in their world, it's a gas giant in a sky vacuum a very far distance away, doesn't change the fact that they could still formulate a viable hypothesis. They're not asking them to validate it even. Just what do you think causes that effect? Put it into an alternative and null format, and then you've got a viable, independent, dependent variable with a null. That's all we're asking for.
Right.
Okay. So only step one, observation.
Well, observation of phenomena is all they ever present with just so story. But the way the question's phrased, it's open to all, right? You don't have to be a heliocentrist with a worldview that Saturn's a burning ball of gas or whatever they claim it is, gas giant not expanding into a vacuum in violation of natural. You don't have to buy that. You might be a concave guy and say, nah, it's emanating from the inside of my ball with the lights in the centre. Right, but I think I can vary and manipulate it with X. So if X, then light in the sky. Well, that's a viable hypothesis, if the null worked.
Correct. I'm not even against that. The viable hypothesis, but it's not viable until you test it to see if what you predict is even happening.
No, that's wrong.
So when people come on the show and they use the word science the wrong way, what does QE, what do you do, and what does the panel do every time?
You're wrong. You're talking about validation of a hypothesis. It's only validated upon experimentation. To be a viable hypothesis, it's not that complicated. You've got to have something happening. That's your dependent variable. Automatically, once you've got the phenomena, we're going to say rings around Saturn just to keep it consistent. That's your phenomena. So that's your DV. Well, that's half your hypothesis right away. What else do you need? Presumed cause of the effect. Well, that's only got to satisfy 3 criteria, really. It's got to be real. It's got to be your presumed cause of that effect. And it's got to be capable of variation by you, the researcher. So if you've got something real, I'm going to say magnetism just because it's something that I can vary and manipulate. And I can say, I assume that causes those lights in the sky. Well, then I've got a fully formulated, viable hypothesis. If magnetism varied, then light in the sky called Saturn rings. If if magnetism varied, then no lights in the sky rings around Saturn. Well, that's a viable hypothesis. I think the cause is magnetic fields, so I vary in if I was to validate it or try to, I'd vary it and see if it caused it. But we're not even asking for that bit. We're not saying we want you to actually get it right, because at the end of any attempted validation of a hypothesis, you would still validate something. That's why it grieves quantum erasers so much when people say science doesn't prove things, when that's its only purpose. Once you've got a viable hypothesis with a formulated alternative and null, and you do experiment, one or other will be validated. So in my instance, if I actually was to set up an experiment where I varied, the field strength of magnetism to see if it caused the rings on Saturn, if I did that and it didn't cause it, right? Well, then I've validated my null. I've proven my null. Again, that's not what we're asking for. We're not even asking them to do it. Just give us a viable hypothesis.
I went past that.
Okay. But I like the phrasing because it doesn't, we've changed the intro. It's the nature of Earth now. You don't have to be a heliocentrist to look at something and know that you can validate the cause of it with science and then come up with an idea of what you think it is. You know, anybody could do that. And Arwin, this is where Arwin's my best friend, because he's full of the joy of the excitement of, yeah, we might find out. Just got to try, right, Arwin? Got to actually have the tenacity to do it. And where does that start? Well, it starts with the prediction, the hypothesis.
Arwin doesn't do anything.
Yeah, but it doesn't help them making predictions based on maths and then just re-engineering it backwards.
Go on, Sin.
Well, I don't think people should be getting they shouldn't be getting away with guessing. It's obnoxious, the fact that we have to hear so many people guessing at different shit. Arwin is known for guessing. When is his guesses going to come true? I would be more impressed at that than anything else I've ever
That's not what we're talking about. When we talk about the only aspect of a guess in a hypothesis is your presumed cause of the effect, yet to be validated. The problem comes when they take what they have as their presumed cause of the effect, in this case, independent variable magnetism, and they say it is the cause. So there's just a just so story attached to their claim to be scientific prediction hypothesis. They take a hypothesis and use it like it's the story to explain their presumed cause that they haven't validated. So that's where the problem lies. Coming up with an idea of what it might be, that's the genius bit in science. Saying it might be this. Now, if you get it right and you validate it by experiment, then you are that genius. You guessed right, but you've got to start somewhere. You've got to actually guess. Now, the more specialist you are in any given field, the more likely you're going to have a fair idea what path you should be on to guess before you get it wrong a few times and then get it right, hopefully, if you're successful in your scientific endeavours. The point is that you've got to guess at some point. That's all a hypothesis is. A supposition yet to be validated. There's nothing wrong with guessing. That's where the genius lies.
Yeah. Well, what I'm saying is that there's literally everything you just said. It is well said. Everything you just said was well said. What I'm saying is that we can't let people just get away with them speculating some random bullshit that they may or may not have pulled directly out of their ass. What I'm saying is, like, I feel like everybody has their own opinion, and I know QE well enough to know that everybody's exhausted of people just pulling shit out of their ass. You have to have some sort of experiment attached to it, and a lot of these claims typically do not have that. That's all you have to do is ask them about, okay, if it's scientific, what the hell have you done? Let's see it. I'm ready. Show me. And they can't, and that's where it fucking ends, unfortunately.
Agreed. Any evidence?
So, yeah, that's the frustration. That is the frustration of the whole fucking debate.
Okay, please stop swearing. Please stop swearing. Any evidence of the...
What?
Okay, maybe just continue with verbal diarrhea.
No swearing.
Any evidence of the distance to the sun?
Any Glovers got that?
Did
Chocolate.
that Rochiller's guy ever get to it with his flying shoes?
Nah, it can't be more than 3,000 to 10,000 miles away by sextants.
Speak up. Don't mumble your flat Earth claim at us.
It can't be more than 3,000 to 10,000.
Did I hear a number?
Yeah, 3,000 to 10,000 miles. No rumpusing. Let's hear it again. Got a flat Earth claim.
Let me in.
Because you can get a 45-90 triangle to the subsolar point from 3,000 miles away. That implies that it's no more than 3,000-ish miles high.
What are you pointing the top of the triangle at? This intangible item?
Why would you make that claim if you know goddamn well you're never going to prove that? You know for as well as anybody else on this panel, you're never going to be able to prove that.
As long as it's there fairly regularly.
It's just a claim that I heard about. It's just as claim as anything else, right?
Well,
you're just saying things that anybody can say that.
Well, people think the sun is physical if it has physical effects like warmth and, hitting our eyes or whatever.
But you legit made a claim about some shit that nobody knows about other than what you just said. Nobody's ever heard about that. You've just made that claim.
That's
all
not
of a sudden.
true.
Nobody.
People in
Where's the
Robotham's
evidence
telling me
of
about
that,
it.
man?
Robotham's writings saying that by sextants it's about 3 to 10,000 miles high and 32 miles in diameter.
Who reaffirmed that?
To this intangible item. To the intangible
back
item.
In the 18th, 19th century?
To the intangible item. Can't track the sun, right? It's not a tangible item. You've just started out your disclaimer by saying some people assume it's physical. Yeah, you do. You're triangulating it.
Correct.
That's probably refracting over a flat plane.
You're doing exactly the same. You're doing exactly the same as the globers, making assumptions and then measuring your biased deductions on those assumptions.
He said probably.
Correct.
He says probably, so it's okay. Allegedly gets you out of anything.
That's an assumption made because the sun has physical effects like warmth, at least in their conception anyway. So if it has physical effects, ergo it must be physical. Ish.
Ish? What do you mean ish? Ish.
Holy
I think
shit.
you know.
Physical or it's not.
Hold on. No, that ish gave him away. He knows the problem. That's why he said ish. But the bottom line is, I see this as part of the controlled up narrative for Flat Earth, right? We're given maps and models and ideas about how the Flat Earth should work and told what we should perceive the Flat Earth to be, and told about Robotham and the triangulation of the sun. And we're also given their mathematics, which takes exactly that and just inserts an R value to push the distances to an astronomical value. Well, all of those mathematics has the same assumption at its heart, and it's useful to have both flat earthers and globers arguing about whether or not the triangulation is right with R or right on a flat plane, missing the elephant in the room that you're trying to measure an intangible object and get triangulation values from it, with or without R. So the flat earthers are just as guilty of this. I just see it as falling victim to a controlled up narrative, like arguing about whether or not the horizon bends. So both sides are going to reify it into physicality, and then we argue about whether or not it bends.
Well, Nathan, that's exactly where you nailed it, because the whole debate, I mean, I don't know if it's QE or you, or probably both of the mingling of each other, but math doesn't prove anything. It's measurement. You can calculate literally anything, but the measurement involves experimentation. And most people have never done this experimentation. They're just talking about, oh, it should calculate as to this. But when you ask them, they don't know anything about the equations. They're just guessing and pulling shit out of their ass, as they've always done. That's the hilarious part of it.
Moving on. Any evidence you can have gas pressure without the necessary antecedent of a container to press upon?
No.
So you can have volume without containment?
No.
This is the best.
No, you can't. They keep arguing for a gradient.
Sorry, Flatsoid. Practically or hypothetically?
You can go both ways. It doesn't matter.
Hypothetically, I can just invent an arbitrary space. Hold on. I can invent an arbitrary space and call that the hypothetical volume within the hypothetical space without it having any walls, because they're not necessary conceptually. So yes, to answer your question.
But no, sorry, even that is actually wrong. Even the space has volume, remember. That's not a perfect vacuum. And it's expanding.
No, you're talking practically.
So it has.
You've missed my distinction. Practically, no. Hypothetically, yes.
And then you could get a line and name it Carmen.
Oh, chocolate, you bastard! You totally stole where I was going with this. I've seen it done. Yeah, they can arbitrarily assign a line in the sky and say that the volume is thus. Hypothetically, of course, not practically. Practically, the gas would fill the space. Practically, we're governed by laws of nature. Practically, in reality. Hypothetically, I can, like chocolate says, because he totally stole my point, I can draw a line and call it Carmen and say that the volume is anything below it.
Did you think that was going to get past chocolate?
Yeah, past him. That's where I was going. He completely swindled and hijacked my thunder. But that's because chocolate's ace. Yeah, I re-released exactly that happening recently. I don't know if anyone caught that. So for some reason, I had a video with George Netanyuk, and I just hadn't published it. I was going through my videos to tidy up stuff administratively. I came across it. I'm like, why hasn't this been published? So I just published it. So it's like quite an old video, but it was just hanging around in my videos. I make so money, sometimes some slip through the net and don't get published, but that's just a Brucey bonus. But yeah, with him saying how he calculated the volume, and he just drew an arbitrary line and called it the Kármán line and said that the gas that we have is calculable within that area. No walls necessary. Hypothetically, mathematically,
But
arbitrarily. Go ahead.
you said it, mathematically, anything is possible.
Indeed.
Math is literally people that don't know how to use the English language. If you don't know how to use your words, you're probably going to decipher to math. But here's the thing. Literally everything you just said is demonstrably proved because you would back it up through experimentation. A lot of these mathematical theoretical ideas, like Fermilab, there's a lot of people in Discord chat that talk about. There's people that work there, or like apparently there's a whole bunch of people there. In chat, at least, they sound like they're all physicists. But it's literally just a whole method of pulling shit directly out of your ass. And all you have to do is talk with them longer than 15 minutes to discover how much they're making up as they go.
Just so we're clear, not everything has to be scientifically validated. Science is super, super narrow. You know, some things just
I
are.
don't even use science. Science is for nerds. I don't use science. I don't use math. All of it, just pure logic. You can really determine a lot of different things. You don't need science. You don't need math. It should just be able to connect that shit with logic. And if you can't, you're wrong because you don't know how to use your words.
Okay, well, they're tools. One is a tool of language, mathematics. You said, oh, well, they don't know how to use language. Well, math is language. That's just a language. But
Logic
science,
is a language. Yeah. It's language connected with logic. It's words connected with math. That's the beauty of why we use logic. But most people just use formulas, which is a bullshit, way big of a stretch for connecting things with words. But it just doesn't correlate as well. And that's why they embarrass themselves as much as they do.
Okay, again, science is a method, however. It's not rooted in logic. It's empirical, once applied. But it's merely a method, as opposed to a linguistic thing, a communication thing. It's a methodology thing. So you're kind of saying, oh, well, you don't need science. Well, you do if you want to figure out the cause of a phenomena empirically. But that's quite narrow, right? So, yeah, you might not need it on a day-to-day basis, but it doesn't mean it's not useful. Same with language, same with maths. It's useful. It's a tool.
But even if they went with their own definition of science, they wouldn't even bring it up in this genre, because what are we talking about? The shape of the Earth? That's not even a scientific question. So the only reason we're even talking about science is because they used to claim body of science proves we live on a globe. Body of science proves R. Body of science proves gas pressure. And now where are we in 2020? Does science prove things in their respect? No.
It becomes proved by default if it's the only framework left to explain the phenomena. It's proof by elimination. So we'd have to show them another framework that's available.
Well, according to them, it's not proof of anything, because the same science they used to say prove the globe, they say now it doesn't prove anything. So why are we talking about science? Why are they talking about science? And what happened? And how did we get to that road? By asking them for their science? Are you kidding?
Let's get it correct.
Well-
They use pseudoscience because Rumpus still swears we do not know what science is.
Well, causation is very philosophy laden, notions of what causes what and stuff like that. Science is kind of given up on causations because they basically say we can find a cause, but there can be another cause under this cause that we didn't see. So we try not to say that this proves this cause or disproves this cause, because we might miss something. And so their philosophy of causation is saying you can disprove that something's, a cause, but you can't really prove it because there may be 1,000,001 causes underneath this that we're not quite seeing. That's why they say you can't prove anything in science. Just in
Yes,
case
you
they miss
can.
something. But you can demonstrate something.
Science does prove things.
Yeah, they can say what they want, but the problem is they're talking about science, especially in things like in respect to things in the sky, in which they can't manipulate. So how do you have science? You can't even, I mean, they can't form a viable hypothesis. They can't manipulate anything. So no experiment. So what are we doing after looking at stuff? What's the next step?
Observational science.
No, that's kind of redundant. Observation is the first step. So what are we doing after that? Oh, okay.
Yeah, they're decrying a method and describing it as not being capable of proving things when its only purpose is to validate the hypothesis, to prove your hypothesis. And when you perform an experiment, you prove the null or prove the alternative. That's all it does. But they don't have any, so it's best to throw it under the bus like it doesn't have any use. Nah, it doesn't prove anything. We can only have a best guess in science. No, that's not what it's for at all. It's designed to empirically validate your hypothesis. That's what it's for. It proves things. That's all it does.
Well, by their philosophy of causation, like a flat plane covered by a dome that appears to be, created by some sort of supernatural event is anathema. They only deal with materialistic causes, so they want something like Neoplatonic gravity, pulling to the center of a ball with material forming itself by quote-unquote material processes. If, the flat earth was not formed by anything like that, they're not going to accept it in their materialistic worldview.
Indeed. Has it all gone quiet? Is it just me?
Moment of silence for the ball.
Hey, Elijah.
Moment of science for the body. Oh, not moment of science. Moment of silence for the body of science that used to prove the globe. That no longer does in 2020.
They used to say it though, right?
Can we say what's up to Eli, who is in the group now? That's cool.
Hey, Eli. How's it going?
Hey, what's up, guys? What's up?
Yo. Welcome, brother.
Thank you. Appreciate it. Much appreciated.
What are you going to war?
No, it does look like it, right? It's the bike helmet.
Yeah, you look kind of like a bomb disposal expert with your collar up. Like you're going to defuse something.
Is it that rough in New York City?
Yeah, that's funny. No, I'm just working right now, trying to keep the wind out of the show.
No, I appreciate it. Thank you. It's a wind deflector. Now I'm going to be a lot less discriminatory about it. Yeah, brilliant. Thank you. Very good idea. Cup your mics, people, if you're out and about. Right, we've got one more housekeeping question, but before I do, I'm going to encourage the audience, because there's hardly anybody watching. There's 135 people watching. There's normally a couple of hundred people watching. God only knows why. Presumably it hasn't gone out to anybody who's subscribed to me. But if you can share the show, smash the share button. That'd be very much appreciated, given the low numbers currently. Unusually low. There's some massive breaking news that's stealing the audience today, but there we go. Please share the show. Any evidence of the R value, Earth radius?
No.
Nah.
Black Swan.
So in the pre-show,
Not at all.
Sin mentioned that Simon Dan had been in the text chat at Discord, and he highlighted his lack of understanding of the arguments or their rhetoric in terms of Newtonian mechanics, at least. And when it comes to the Black Swan, naively, I thought that people would pay close attention to how devastating it was to their rhetoric. It leaves the model untenable, or better description from Arwin, in a paradox. But it's, 10 months down the line? And there's, people like Dan, he hasn't got a clue what the black swan is. He's made videos on it and just said refraction because he can parrot it off somebody else who said it. But does he actually understand the argument? Of course not. And I think there's a much, much bigger percentage of people than we probably give credit to that actually do understand the argument. I think it's hardly any of their side. I think hardly any of them actually understand the black swan argument.
I think you're right. There was a guy on yesterday who denied that the horizon was behind the oil platforms. He said it was in front of the first one.
Wiggles? Yeah, he's made a reappearance.
No, the Parmesan guy too.
Nah, that's a different scenario. First scenario is Parmesan, who is a guy who, when asked, where is the horizon in the Black Swan photograph? And he basically declared, the horizon is behind the oil rigs. And then he heard the argument. Then he kind of switched up the game, like, oh, wait a minute, it's in front of the oil rigs now. Exactly. Yeah, that's where I see it, As a matter of fact, hold on. He put a line where he thought the horizon was. I'll share that in a second. Give me a second. But then Wiggles.
So he's Zanuck reincarnate. No, he's Zanuck reincarnate.
I don't know if I'd put Wiggles at the level of Zanuck, but carry on.
Yeah.
Oh, definitely not. Wiggles. Oh my God, he came back from wherever the hell he came from, and he said the horizon is behind those oil rigs due to looming. And that we do see the geometric horizon.
Oh,
so I don't know if he's been paying attention, if he woke up from a 8-month nap or something. I'm not sure. I was like, how did you come back with these arguments? Like, your own side doesn't even make these arguments anymore. What's going on? But, it's Wiggles, so yeah. Anyway, let me go find that pic.
So they arbitrarily draw a line on the image and say, that's where the horizon is, right? Do they not appreciate that in the frame that you see of the Black Swan image, their geometric horizon is out of frame, if it existed at all? Obviously not.
Well, the guy Parmesan was saying that he's seen a video, and it's not right, the video. And we're trying to tell him that's a still shot from the video, and you could clearly see the horizon behind the second oil platform. So he's in denial. I invited him to come on the show. I was hoping he'd come on here and explain how gas pressure is contained without a container. He said he would, so.
It's hard to deal with. But I was reading Koresh's cellular cosmogony thing that basically looks at the Earth as an inverted sphere. Between all the, crap and kind of, quasi-cultic stuff in the book, it did have one or two gems. Namely that on a globe, you look in one direction and it might, go down by like, I don't know.
You really want to say concave, don't you? You're dying to say concave. You're actually begging to say concave.
But if you turn around on the globe, it would actually be even worse because you're at a slant looking down over the globe. And when you look back out into space on that same line, it's actually like 2 times as much dip in the other direction because you're.
Then why don't you just say you're a new concaver? Why don't you just say that? You believe in concaver.
So if
just
you're
say that and it'll be
down,
so much easier. We'll figure it out.
So if you're looking down 3 degrees in like one of Zanuck's, air flight photos or whatever in the HUD display, if you turn that plane around on that same line, it would be looking down 6 degrees toward the horizon in the other direction. So it gets increasingly obtuse as you turn around in the other direction over a globe. And I never thought about that. And I said, that makes a lot of sense.
We got to cut you off. Listen, Lemon, we have to cut you off. You cannot say these things in public. You have to literally reimagine that shit before we try to say it.
Yeah, it would be worse in the other direction.
I'm sorry to tell you, nobody's buying into it.
And the land would ramp up toward the other direction as well, since you're looking at a slant.
No, literally no. Hold on. Literally no flat earther would ever agree with what you just said. I'm just
It's
sorry to tell
easier
you.
to diagram
You can retry, but I'm
Real
not.
quick,
I like what you
between
say
you
most
two,
of the time,
real-
but that
real
shit
quick,
is just
real quick.
unbelievable.
Yeah,
Real
what's
quick.
going on here?
Nathan, I put it in Master
Sorry to
Key.
tell you about it.
Okay, it's on screen. So this green line,
I don't know if
presumably.
you can make it large enough for people to see where he put his line and where the horizon is.
Yeah, it's hopefully
He
visible.
put the green line there.
Just wondering if anybody agrees that that's where the horizon is.
But that's just denial.
Yeah.
You could clearly see it. I mean, it's way back there.
Well, it's not the Nile, it's an ocean.
Notion. Yeah, that's one way of describing how light isn't a fucking piece of matter.
Try not to swear, please.
Hey, mind the tongue.
Well, yeah, no. What I'm saying is, globers do not have logic. They don't have physics. They don't have any shit. They just stuff. They just completely came up with it. They try to pull it out to see if it works.
Well, I'm just trying to see what sort of good science can be absorbed over a flat plane from the globe side.
Well, you're
Probably
here to
sounds
see
pretty good.
what glober would show up. What glober would ever give you a response? Lemon, you're not going to hear it. They don't give responses. They don't
Well,
ever
you
concede
don't-
anything.
I'll give you a response to anything you want to ask.
You're going to
Alright.
have to concede a couple points before you do, aren't you?
Concede what
Explain the
points?
black
Like
swan.
what?
Let's start with that.
Right, black swan due to looming.
Yeah, let's start with all
So
the
black
problems
swan's
that
due
you
to loom.
just sort
so
of
the black
discovered
swan-
just now.
The black swan was
Sin,
my name.
Sin cleanser.
Let me
Sin
answer the
cleanser.
questions.
And
We just asked for a
Sin.
Grover to
Sin.
respond. We
Sin,
got one
can you
trying
shut
to
up?
respond.
So
Let
the
him
black
Yeah,
respond.
just shut
swan
up
is
for a
due to
while.
looming. It's very, very simple.
Okay,
We're waiting.
said
About
looming.
convex. Lemon Bird has said two intelligent things in this hangout. I just can't believe it. What the hell's going on? And though he did mention it about convex, the image, if you look at the black swan image, it actually has things in the distance being higher up at the eye level, because the eye level is so close to the sea level. Where the towers of the pillars of holding up the platforms are actually higher up the further away you
You've
go. which
managed
actually
to
makes it
pull
look
this
like a
all
hold on,
out
nearly
of
there,
your ass.
nearly there, which makes it actually a convex shape if you took it literally. So anyway, the point is it's looming, and that can cause the Earth to appear
I've
convex.
never heard anybody bullshit as much as you just did right now.
You're more,
That's incredible.
You're a science guy. I mean, we
Sin.
went through
That's
this
a
with you.
work of art
You
in and
don't
of itself.
understand the most basic elements of science.
Okay,
I've got
can we
you
respond
asked
to
you
you,
to
Rumpus, or
set
what?
the most simple bit of science calculations, and you can't do it. You've been shown you don't even understand the first law of Newton's first law of motion. I mean, you don't know anything. So anyway,
Okay,
it's due to looming.
Thank you.
the
When
black
you
swan. It's
finished,
very
Rumpus,
simple.
we heard your claim. Due to looming.
Okay.
So your looming would be based on terrestrial refraction, which is utilising an R value. Well, you haven't got an R value.
It just the maths
I
comes
didn't
out with it.
interrupt you.
Okay, go ahead.
So you're taking a geometric value, which would be based on a geometric sphere edge horizon. That's the geometric horizon, where you get your R value from. And using that R value, which can't be seen, can't be measured, only exists in the maths, according to your own words, to move the horizon to a different location. Well, you can't move the horizon with an R value if you can't measure a geometric horizon.
But we're not talking about the geometric horizon. We're just talking about why the horizon, the apparent horizon, is appearing where it is, and that's due to refraction.
And your
Looming.
refraction is based on the geometric horizon utilising R in 7/6R. It would seem that in spite of me explaining that, you've entirely ignored it.
It's not based on the radius of the Earth.
The radius of the Earth in 7/6 radius? Yeah, it fucking is. It's based on radius. That's what R is. You stuttering liar. Why did you just stutter over that not based on radius? Yeah, it is 7/6 of the radius. You're just a liar. And you can't get that radius. But you're damn sure going to try and rumpus me while I point out that your radius is part of your looming.
Yeah, stuttering brain, Nathan. Well done.
No, you stuttered over your radius not being in the looming. That was you. Rumpus and your radius. That is absolutely in 7/6R. You want to stutter for me again, you little bitch?
You got a stuttering brain.
You keep stuttering for me, bitch, while I hand you your own arse as you lie about radius not being in refraction that uses R. You're just a liar getting pummeled by a flat earther. That's what's actually happening.
Looming is not 7/6R refraction. In the Black Swan, we've got looming. That's not 7/6R refraction.
So looming isn't your terrestrial refraction then?
It is terrestrial refraction.
So it is terrestrial refraction. Terrestrial refraction's based on R. You're just a liar. Double-speaking liar. So it is terrestrial refraction. Looming is based on R then.
No, it's not based on R.
No, it's not. Even though it is terrestrial and that's 7/6R. You're a lying scumbag fundy. You're literally lying every second breath.
Well, we don't understand.
Well, you keep stuttering over your lies, you lying fundy scumbag. No, your refraction includes R and you can't measure it if you can't see a horizon to base it on. I've already covered this. And all you can say is, our refraction doesn't need radius. You're a lying, stuttering scumbag fundy.
So, stuttering brain man, you don't use a day like this to measure the geometric horizon. You go
and do you use R for the refraction value you say it's moved with?
The reason that the Black Swan appears is because the guy got low down. If he had gone up into mountain...
You just said it was because of looming. Looming was your answer a minute ago, and your looming's based on R.
Looming...
Stutter for me while I pummel you for the third time in a row. Yes, your radius value is part of looming, and you can't move a physical geometric horizon if you can't measure it to get an R to move it in your looming value that uses R.
But we're not using a geometric horizon here. There's so much refraction you can't...
You're using R based on a geometric horizon.
This is nothing to do with a geometric horizon. Because
so R isn't in refraction, the geometric R value giving you a geometric horizon, that's not in your refraction.
It wouldn't be for this situation, no. It is in the standard refraction, but it wouldn't be for this case.
So you're saying your refraction won't include radius when you calculate how much you're going to move the horizon with terrestrial refraction, which does include radius. You're lying.
Well, no, normally the calculations are trying to give you something like the drop. So
do they include radius? Do they include the R value, which is utilising a geometric horizon?
And so the refraction level is compared to what the curvature of the Earth is doing.
So that's radius then. So you're going to need a geometric horizon to move it with looming then. You're going to need to see a radius value at the geometric horizon to give you an R value to move the horizon with the R value then.
This is an apparent horizon, Nathan.
Yeah, not geometric. And you're moving it with a value that comes from a geometric horizon we can't see and only exists in your geometric mathematics. So you can't move the horizon, looming in your vernacular, with an R value because you then can't see a geometric horizon to give you the R value for your terrestrial refraction to loom the horizon.
In this case, there is no geometric horizon. These are...
No, we know there's no geometric horizon. In this case, no, ever. There's never a geometric horizon. By your own words, it only exists in the maths.
Effectively, there is. If you go into...
Effectively, there is now a geometric horizon. By your own words, quote, it only exists in the maths. Those are your words, Rumpus.
But if you go high up, you can see the geometric horizon.
You just said we can't see it in this circumstance. And according to you, it's loomed with refraction that's based on R. You've danced past the fact that you can't acquire R because you can't see a geometric horizon. Now, if you're going to say that you go up a mountain and you can see it, because there's what? Less terrestrial refraction as you look through all those layers? It doesn't change the fact that your terrestrial refraction still requires R.
No, it doesn't.
Yeah, it does. It's 7/6R, you liar. We've covered this 4 times. Yeah, it does. Does it need terrestrial refraction to loom it? Well, yes, it does need R. What, radius?
Terrestrial refraction.
Yeah, that needs radius. So you're going to move the horizon to a different position in this image with a radius value you can't measure because you can't see it. By your own words, it only exists in the maths.
And the difference between the two terms of standard refraction and terrestrial refraction.
Oh, standard refraction and terrestrial refraction, they would both require an R value, though, wouldn't they?
Missed that. Stay again.
They both need R.
No, they don't need an R.
So you don't need to bend the light at the rate of R in terrestrial refraction. You're a liar. You're a liar. Terrestrial refraction is 7/6 of the radius of Earth. You do need R, and R's based on a geometric horizon. Now, you're telling us that we don't see a geometric horizon. In this image on screen now, according to them, we don't see a geometric horizon. We see an apparent horizon. Well, if we don't see a geometric horizon, you can't get an R value from the geometric horizon to move the horizon with the R value that's in your terrestrial refraction that you're saying isn't utilising R, because you are a liar.
The reason there is an R in those calculations is
because you can't get to it. Who cares why it's there? You can't get it. You can't measure it if you can't see it. The R's based on a geometric horizon, and you're currently justifying how we can't see it. It's not here, not in the image, can't be seen, being moved with the R value that's needed, with a geometric horizon we can't see to get it from.
So you just over talking.
Stutter, bitch. Yeah, stutter for me. That's what happens when I pummel you. You're justifying why we can't see a geometric horizon in this image. So if we can't see a geometric horizon, by R value to move that point to an apparent horizon position with the R value you can't see or can't measure. It's the paradox and the end of the globe model. The black swan destroys your own model because by your own admission, we can't see a geometric horizon. You're justifying how and why we can't see it right now, and you're justifying it with an R value that you can no longer get if you move the horizon. You're screwed.
Sorts of measures to make, like
talking through me, ignoring the pummeling, talking through me non-stop, eh? Talking through me so you don't have to listen to the pummeling, right? What a coward. It's reached that point, ladies and gentlemen. He can't listen to any more of the devastating point being made, where he can't move his horizon to a different position with an R-based refraction, because he can't see the horizon to get an R value to move it with. But he's not going to listen to that. He's going to talk non-stop through it, because that's devastating. It's a point I've made 5 times and he's not addressed. He's just lied about his R value not being in a refraction value, which is 7/6R. So he's just a liar, he's lost, and all he can do from this point on is talk incessantly so he doesn't have to address a single word of it. That's his only tactic when he loses. Talk non-stop with verbal diarrhea rather than address a single point. Right, Rumpus?
Who is over-talk? That's the...
Yeah, and they claim I'm over-talking him. Yeah, the same old projection that they use day in, day out when they lose an argument. Anybody got anything to add from Discord? G+ before I round out.
That was well said, Nathan.
Rest in peace, Rumpus.
With that, I'll say, as I clear my throat, if you are watching this on either Nathan Oakley 1980 or Nathan Oakley premiering streams, then stay tuned, as there will be an after show to follow. Unfortunately, if you are watching this live, this is where we bid you farewell. A huge, massive, enormous thank you to all of you who smashed the super chat, liked, commented, shared, subscribed, and all that good stuff. Be sure to check out nathanoakley.com and the Flat Earth Debate Forum to keep up to date with the community debate. I've been Nathan Oakley, and I'll see you all in the next video.
What a lovely day!
Strange for you to live in such a world. Very strange.
Oh, Rumpus, you got destroyed again.
If you think so, you are a complete idiot.
I don't think so. We know so. Is that a 4D world or a 3D world?
Science or maths.
Science, you don't know what fucking.
He said it's all maths.
Oh, I do. You have no idea. No idea. You are worse than Nathan, I think.
Oh, really? I've got Andrew Thomas Young's diagram on screen, right? And Andrew Thomas Young's diagram shows us very specifically how we can't see a geometric horizon. He's quite high up in his diagram. He tells us in his specifics about how it works, that we've got a line of sight, dotted line, to a position we can't see. He makes it explicitly clear to draw a line of sight to something we can't see. That's a geometric horizon, Rumpus. I'm not wrong.
We can see it. That's what
we can see it? Really? Oh, that's really cool. Okay, no worries.
As a horizon.
Show it me on the Black Swan image right now. It's on screen. Where is
the
it?
geometric horizon is?
Yeah, where is it on the Black Swan?
I couldn't show you because I'd have to...
So you can't show me. Enjoy the taste of my testicles, you stupid fundy fuckwit. So, after declaring that we can see a geometric horizon, I put one picture on screen and you immediately tell me that you can't see it. Yeah, that's us winning.
You're either too stupid to understand...
Yeah, it's because I'm stupid. We can see a geometric horizon. Okay, here's a picture. Where is it? Well, I couldn't show you a geometric horizon. Yeah, that's me being stupid, is it? No, it's me annihilating you, fundy tourist.
Deary me. You're just so deluded. I don't know what...
I'm deluded. No, you've just told me you can see a geometric horizon. I put an image on screen for my audience, asked you to show it me. What's your answer? I couldn't show it you.
In the Black Swan image, you...
Yeah, enjoy the taste of my nuts. So you can't show us a geometric horizon. It cannot be seen.
In the Black Swan image...
Yeah, that's why it destroys your argument. That's right. In the Black Swan image, suddenly we don't have a physical sphere edge or a horizon. Suddenly we can't see it. That's a very big problem for someone who asserts it blocks boats and buildings and has just asserted that you can see it, only to declare that in that particular image, we can't see it. Yeah, we know. Yeah, we know it's the end of your religion, mate.
It's loomed up.
Loomed up with R?
Moved.
Loomed up with R? Loomed up with terrestrial refraction based on a geometric horizon?
Yes, because you're scared of it.
Scared of pointing out that you haven't got a geometric horizon if we can't see it, so you can't get R from it?
So here you go, you're not letting me make my...
Stutter for me, I absolutely love it. That's right, when I point out we can't get a geometric horizon to derive R from, to move the horizon with an R-based refraction, that's where you start stuttering like a fundy bitch that's being annihilated by a flat earther. That's what happens, Rumpus. You can't derive R from a physical tangent point if you can't see it. I put one picture on screen and you declare for my audience that you can't see it. End of argument.
In his little bunker, hiding under...
Oh, piss off. You're going to start ad-homming me about where I am when I annihilate you. You can fuck right off. Get out of my hangout. I think you're going to use that shit against me. Piss off.
Welcome to Flat Earth, Rumpy.
Dick. Yep. As soon as he gets annihilated, oh, he's in his bunker. No, I'm teabagging you. That's why you keep stuttering every time I ask you about where you're going to get the R to move the horizon with. Well, I don't use a geometric horizon. Well, can you see one? Yeah, we can see one. Where is it on this image? Oh, well, I can't be expected to see it on that image. Yeah, we know. No shit.
There's a lot of stuttering.
Radius.
Yeah, that's going to be parroted and cut out, repeated so many times.
I have a simple question.
Go on, Paul.
I have a simple question. Do you know, if you can't see the geometric horizon, how do you know it's looming?
You don't.
They don't know what looming is either. You can't see the geometric horizon, then it's not a horizon.
Exactly.
You have to see a horizon or it's not a horizon. It's like achromatic rainbows. It's a paradox. It's a contradiction in terms. And they don't know what looming is.
Well, do they think that's the only Black Swan image we have? I've seen tons of them the other day.
You only
Wouldn't
need
matter
one.
anyway.
You only
All we
need
need
one.
is one.
Sorry.
I know, but I'm just saying, there's so many more. They think that's the only picture we got.
It doesn't matter. All we need is one.
He didn't realize that the whole point of the argument is that all your horizons are supposed to be geometric. And then he says, "Oh, we can't see the geometric horizon in the Black Swan image." Well, yeah, Rumpus, thanks. That's the point.
Welcome to Flat Earth.
Welcome to Flat Earth, my friend. Snacks at the back, bathrooms to your left.
Snacks are in the back.
I thought I heard that too. Snacks are in the back, getting their fuck.
It's told when it happened real fast, especially the past few ones in 24/7, I'd say, welcome to Flat Earth. You did get somebody in the back. Snacks are in the back.
Next. I love the Black Swan. It's definitely a worthy number one.
Yeah. It's pretty cool.
He actually yelled it out. Not in the Black Swan.
Yeah, isn't that ace?
Should have yelled out, thank you, Rumpus.
Radius.
Devastating. It's just going to take them a longer while to actually wrap their heads around it themselves.
Did they even know the argument yet?
No.
Yeah. I lowballed them.
What was the max time you gave before they caught on?
About 18 months.
18, right? Okay.
No, hold up. You guys gave 9 months, and then I upped. One of you guys said 9 months, and then I upped it with 14 months.
Yeah, I said 9 months out. I said 9 months out of the gate. You said 14. I thought you said 12. That's okay.
No.
You know who's the worst?
Once I realized how devastating it was, I said 14. Yeah.
You know who's the worst?
Thought I was on drugs saying 9 months.
Me and Spurs.
How you feel about that now?
Me and Spurs got it the most wrong. So both Spurs and I both went, oh, people will get this straight away. That was me and Spurs. Oh, what's not to get? Surely they'll get it instantly, right? No, clearly not.
Nah, I realized the moment their response to it was a concession, that's when I was like, ooh, this is bad. They're never going to understand this. I think I was lowballing with 14 months, to be honest.
Might be.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's going to be a couple of years. Couple of years, literally. That's how long it's just 10 months already.
Yeah.
Their response is literally a concession. Like, they have to catch up to that.
Well, we're going into month 10 now.
Hold on, it's not just a concession though. It's a trick concession. And the trick is on themselves because they want to concede without conceding. So that it seems like they have an argument, but they concede, but they don't realize that they do concede. So they have a virtual win while at the same time giving us a lot of laughs.
Yep. Yeah, as soon as they say refraction, it's welcome to Flat Earth immediately. That's it. Yep. It's over.
Right.
They didn't realize it, which is hilarious.
As soon as they say
make
refraction,
a clip of him yelling it out.
As soon as they're saying refraction, they're saying the horizon's not a sphere edge. That's what they're saying. Yep. They're saying the horizon's not the curve of the Earth in that statement.
Yep. But they don't realize it. They never realized it. They still don't realize it. They still say it.
Explain that.
Mind-numbing. It's pretty funny, though.
That was interesting because on my show today, I had a couple of Globers in there that were kind of tenacious, and one said the sphere edge is a straw man. We have no edge. So I had to visually demonstrate it for 5 minutes, specifically why we call it an edge, what it is an edge about it, because it's an edge in view. You can block something with it, and then the literal sphere is obstructing the thing behind it visually, and yeah, it's blocked by the edge. To be very specific, because they like to now confuse the words. So yeah, they can strawman you because they are claiming you are meaning something else as what they think you mean, and then they on purpose try to convolute the conversation with that misunderstanding.
Yep.
Doesn't matter what they call it, they still don't have it. So
then they say looming, right? Looming. Even in their own definition, which is incorrect, by the way, it's still not looming. They don't even understand their own religion. Well, that's not shocking. We knew that for a long time.
Are you going to break down why?
The looming thing?
Yeah, well, it's something's positioned with respect to the horizon, but I thought you'd break it down immediately after, and you haven't.
Yeah. That's what it is. Looming, which is incorrect in their own definition. See, the way Thomas Young describes it, it's wrong. I've showed this on many occasions on the Black Swans, that his definition is incorrect. Now, if we just stay in the definition, in their incorrect definition, it's still wrong because it's in relation to the horizon, not the horizon itself. How about that?
Yeah, and they, as I picked as my battle line, they are utilizing the R value to do that in there in their worldview of light bending at 7/6 of the radius in standard form. That's standard refraction, otherwise known as terrestrial refraction, and it needs R. And where do they get R? Well, from the horizon.
Yes, exactly. It's one big circle jerk. Looming is caused by unusually large terrestrial refraction. He even says we have to use the calculations of the radius in his description.
This is just for anybody who's unaware that that's what's on screen right now. So what he's describing is, I haven't got these words, but I know him reasonably well, that he, although he doesn't say it in this exact way, he's saying you draw a line of sight to the geometric horizon. So that's G in this diagram from Andrew Thomas Young. Now that dotted line is the death of their religion, because G is the geometric horizon. It's the physical earth curve edge obstruction that gets in the way of boats and buildings. And he's saying, look, we haven't got this tangent point anymore for our geometry. It's a dotted line we can't see. That's what he specifically tells you. And why? Well, because it's being bent with the R value, an unusually large amount of terrestrial refraction, to move G to a visible location at H. Well, that means that you can't derive the R to move it with. It's paradoxical in its nature. And Andrew Thomas Young is specifically destroying his own religion by saying we can't see the geometric horizon, as Rumpus did as soon as we put the black swan on the screen. Where's the geometric horizon? Oh, well, we can't see it.
Oh, I got his spill. I got his spill with that. Go to Ball Busters. It's the last one. That's a spill with the drawing. It's paradoxical even within. You didn't have to look at the diagram. Just read the spill.
Yeah, I've got it up on screen.
Where do
now
they
for the
go
audience.
from here?
Dip of the horizon. Yeah, you can see it's the same. He's got the preceding diagram here. So compared to the one I've taken it from this exact site and then put it with the donkey because it's donkey dick horizon, bent line. Anyway, here's him drawing a line of sight to a point that you cannot see.
So what he says is, so far we have ignored refraction and drawn the line of sight to the apparent horizon as the straight line OG. But in the real world, there is some terrestrial refraction between the observer and the horizon. The line of sight to the apparent horizon is not straight, but curved. So let's try to allow for that curvature. See that statement right there. The line of sight to the apparent horizon is not straight, but curved. Good night. Good night, Andrew Thomas Young. Thank you very much.
So the apparent horizon is not the geometric physical sphere edge obstruction calculated in earth curve mathematics. We can't see it. Or, to paraphrase it more accurately, we can't see earth curvature.
Wow.
If the line of sight to the apparent horizon is not straight, then how do they get in their geometry?
They don't. That's the paradox. As soon as you bend that line to the point that is the tangent point, in their model, the horizon is the tangent point for the geometry. Well, once that line becomes bent, it's no longer a tangent line, a straight line to a tangent point. In their model, G, this line they're justifying not being able to see, well, that's a tangent point that they require to do the geometry to get the R that they then bend the line to the horizon with. Complete paradox.
Yep. It's the mother of circle jerks.
That's what I was just going to say. It sounds like a real circle jerk.
Yep. It's pretty funny. These are grown adults writing this stuff.
Yep. I'm sure
they're writing their own rules for the tangent line, considering the tangent line is specifically designed to touch the sphere.
Yeah, at the horizon. Exactly.
Exactly.
Perfect way to end. With that, I'm going to say a huge, massive, enormous thank you to both Discord and G+ panels for making today's after show possible. And of course, a massive thank you to all of you in either Nathan Oakley 1980 or Nathan Oakley Premiering streams for hopefully smashing the super chat, liking, commenting, sharing, subscribing, and all that good stuff. Be sure to check out nathanoakley.com and the Flat Earth Debate Forum to keep up to date with the community debate. I've been Nathan Oakley, and I'll see you all in the next video.